What is up, everyone? It's your boy Infrar-Ed. Welcome to the Scout Report as I bring you an anime review of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, Part 4, Diamond is Unbreakable, Episode 3, Back to the Greatness again. Man, it just seems like this week goes by so fast when there's just so many good things to watch. We're right back here again. It seems like the week just goes by like that with all these good shows on right now. And this episode was good as well, and I'm going to be saying that a lot. That's going to be a little bit redundant because this is a very great series. I personally like this series over Part 3, and hopefully you guys will see why about time this ends. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get to the episode. It starts off with Jotaro talking to someone on the phone who we don't know who it is yet, but he says the Speedwagon Foundation had a photo from Egypt 10 years ago, and if time serves correctly, that was Part 3. And it further gives us insight on why he's at Moria Town, because he's trying to find something that has to do with this photo from Egypt 10 years ago. And we cut back to Jotaro and Josuke because obviously that part was before we got to where we were, and they still have Angelo trapped in the stone, as Angelo is pretty much pleading to get out the stone right now, and he starts declaring that if you guys don't let me out, the person that gave me this ability is going to come and kill you all. So that's what takes everybody by surprise here, where he's saying, what do you mean the person that gave you that ability? So is a stand arrow from Part 3 still around? Oh man. I mean, all the JoJo's Bizarre Adventures, Part 1, Part 2, Part 3, they all link together. Just hearing the stand arrow, or the insinuation that the stand arrow is around, that definitely links it to Part 3 and Part 4, because the later JoJo series, they kind of go onto their own path. But this one is a direct link with the stand arrow being around. We found out more about this person, as he says it was somebody in a school uniform that visited him in his cell a year before his execution. And we see a shadowy figure in this school outfit with like a blonde hot top fade. He shoots Angelo in the throat with the stand arrow. And as Angelo's laying there choking on his own blood, he doesn't die, as this mysterious figure says that this was the expected result. If you are deemed worthy to get the abilities that this arrow has, then you are the worst of the worst, and you are the type of person that are comparable to Dio, the baddest of the bad. Dio Brando, one of the best villains ever, and one of the most dangerous villains, who also got that same ability of the world from that stand arrow. So this guy is basically saying, if you get stabbed in the throat with this arrow or anywhere and you don't die, then it was fated for you to get a stand. So that's how Angelo ended up with Aqua Necklace. So we cut back from the flashback back to the present, as he's saying once again, let me out of this stone or you're gonna regret it. Josuke is sick of hearing his mouth at this point, as Angelo foolishly says something about his hair. Don't say anything about Josuke's hair, man. When are people gonna learn this? As he's going towards him saying, what did you say about my hair? Angelo's trying to explain, you know, like the guy in the school uniform, he's still in this town. Just let me out, I'll show you where he is. At this point, Josuke is not trying to hear it right now because you talked about his hair, man. So without further ado, we get Crazy Diamond as he pretty much mails Angelo even further into smaller pieces into the rock that he's in and reforms them all together, so he's not even recognizable anymore. I think the only thing you can see at this point is his eye. Jotaro's a little bit upset because he wanted to get more information out of Angelo at this point, but as I've said, don't talk about this man's hair. It's just not going to end good for you. So with that being said, that brings an interesting dynamic to the series with the stand arrow being out there, as we learn later on in the episode that it was indeed the old little witch from Part 3. And I'm jumping ahead a little bit, but the old little witch from Part 3, somebody got that arrow that she had that gave Dio his powers, and now that is loose in Moria Town, which further explains why Jotaro was there to begin with, because he's trying to investigate what's going on with that. So the two go their separate ways. We catch back up with Josuke as he finds Koichi in the library studying, and he mentioned this a lot of times in the first episode, that something seems to be wrong in this town, as he's doing research on a whole bunch of strange things that went on in Moria Town for at least the past years. There's been a bunch of disappearances, a bunch of different murders that are pretty much unexplained, and nobody's trying to find out what's going on about it. So Koichi and Josuke, they're walking home, and there's like an abandoned house that's either across the street or not too far from Josuke, that Koichi notices that it looks like it was someone in the window. So they go to investigate that, even though Josuke is kind of skeptical about it because he says, this is right by my house. If somebody lived here, I would know. As they're looking around, we see an eyeball come out from the shadows, or like from the ground, watching them as they walk. And as Koichi puts his head into the gate slams on his neck as we see like a big dude just sitting there holding the gate with his neck, and he just starts ripping into him like, what are you doing? Get away from my house. My father bought this house. You have no right to be here. Get out of my face. Josuke is like, look, let my friend go and you ain't gonna get this work. So these two, they have a mad stare off, and then we flash back to Jotaro now that we're in the second part of this episode, where it verifies what I said earlier, that the stand arrow is definitely a factor in this one, and he's going to race to Josuke's house to try to get to him to let him know what's going on. He's not there at the time, but his mother is, and as soon as she sees Jotaro, she just jumps and hugs him. She's like, Joseph, oh, I love you, I love you, I love you. I waited so long and you came back at the right time. Oh, I love you. And Jotaro kind of pushes her off like, look, first off, look at me. Do I look like I'm that old man? I'm not. If I was Joseph, I'd be a lot older. I'm Jotaro. He introduces himself and says that he is Joseph's grandson. And he asks if Josuke is there, but he isn't. And before he leaves, he does apologize for what's going on. He says if Joseph was here, he would have made sure that you guys were safe and nothing would have happened to you. And for that, I'm sorry. And I'm sorry for your loss. But I can assure you, now that I'm here, from now on, you guys have nothing to worry about. So leaving her with that little bit of reassurance as he races to go find Josuke. Meanwhile, we're back at the house, and Kyochi's head is still stuck in the gate. His neck is just sitting there. I mean, I'm surprised he's not dead yet. But the further on to that, we see from the window that he thought he'd seen somebody from, we see that stand arrow shoot, and it shoots him in the throat. And Josuke, he's livid at this point. He's like, let him go. I'm trying to get to my friend. He's frantically trying to get to Kyochi, as he can use Crazy Diamond to heal him at this point. And we see now there's two brothers, and the name of the episode is I'm going to read it because I don't want to butcher their names, but we see that they're called the Nijimura brothers. And the older brother is the one up top, and he's screaming at this younger brother at the bottom, telling him, you know, make this guy disappear. Get him out of here. If these are the guys that beat Angelo, they're stand users. We need to get them out of the way as soon as possible, as we reveal that both of the Nijimura brothers are stand users as well. See, the one that had Kyochi by the neck, he has a stand called the Hand. And pretty much what this stand can do is anything that he swipes at, it disappears. And this is where I was saying the stands in this series get really intricate, and if used correctly, they all could be very broken. For example, when he reveals that he is a stand user, he swipes at Josuke, but Josuke moves. And there was a sign behind Josuke that says no trespassing. And the swipe cut through the middle of that sign, melding the other two halves that didn't get cut together. As his name is actually Okayasu Nijimura. And Okayasu explains just what I said, that with the hand, anything that I slash pretty much comes together, and the part that I slash disappears, and I don't even know where the part that disappears goes to. Those are like the exact words from this character, because he's not very bright, as he even gets chewed out by his brother up top saying, you need to learn how to use your stand, and if you were a little bit smarter, you would have a better chance of being broken. I mean, his brother's even scared of what this stand can do right now. So we get a little bit of tussle between Crazy Diamond and the Hand, because Josuke notices before he revealed what his stand could do that he kept favoring this right hand for some reason. So he tried his best to evade it and get away from it. At one point, he tried to just come in and just hit Jotaro quickly, but come on, our boy's better than that. He just decks this dude in the face. It's so funny because the intro kind of spoils that this guy's going to end up being one of the good guys, but I can see him as being kind of like the Kuwabara type of character, where he's going to be a goof, but he's going to be the type of person that's going to bring the lightheartedness to the series. And again, the opening kind of ruins that he's going to end up being on their side anyway. So with that being said, Jotaro actually figures out how to counter this ability, because if he slashes something and it pulls something in, all he had to do at this point was dodge the slash, And when he did that, the open space closed in, and behind Josuke at the time was a flower pot that shoots in and hits the guy in the head. As Josuke even said, "Boy, you're an idiot." As he was able to figure out his stand better than the stand user himself. Because think about it, if you slash something and it pulls in, what happens to the thing that's by you? So he slashed the mid-air, which makes it look like he can teleport, because when he was slashing, he was coming towards Josuke at the same time, which gave him a little bit of trouble at first. But once he figured out what was going on, he was like, well, it must pull everything in. So it pulls in loose objects as well. Nijimura's knocked out now at the part with the flower pot, as Josuke is heading towards the top of the house right now, because the other brother is just dragging Kyosuke with the arrow still in his neck to him to lure Josuke in, and basically saying, I failed with this one, because he's about to die, so it looks like he doesn't have a stand. And that pretty much ends the episode. The last thing we see before we go is Jotaro as he's making his way to it, and he's concerned, because with that stand arrow out there, that can be a really bad thing. As Jotaro says, he wants to get to that arrow before more stand users could be created. Stand users that may even be more dangerous than Dio. And I didn't think that was possible. So if there's somebody out there that's worse than Dio, we're definitely going to be in for a treat. So yeah, that was the episode in a nutshell. Again, a very enjoyable episode, and I hope we continue to enjoy the ride, because this part was a little bit longer than Stardust Crusaders. So I think that capped out at 58 episodes, like 48 episodes. So this one will probably get 52. So we'll just have to see where it goes from there. I'm pretty sure we're going to get 24 or 25 episodes, and it's going to go on break and maybe come back in the summer. So yeah, that's it for the Scout Report. As always, if you guys liked anything in the video, go ahead and drop it a like. And if you want to hear more, go ahead and hit the subscribe button, as I continue to bring you guys content. Especially at this point, I'm uploading almost daily. And I do apologize for stumbling around on this episode a little bit. There was just so much happening. As I say, I want to give you guys the best review possible. I mean, I try to keep it short, but I like to dissect the episodes overall and make sure I give you guys everything, even if it's the minor details, because those minor details ends up being something big in the end. So yeah, that's it for the Scout Report. Be sure to join me tomorrow as I review Kids Niver. And as I always say, you guys can be anywhere on YouTube right now, but you chose to listen to me, and I really appreciate that. So without further ado, thanks once again for watching the Scout Report. It's your boy Infrar-Ed signing out. See you soon.